Hello students, today we discuss about John Milton, a great English poet who wrote epic poetry, and his poems, his sonnets are most popular. His poetic work is surpassing, and today we discuss about his sonnet on his blindness. Before discussing the sonnet, we discuss about sonnet writing. Sonnet writing is a device in which a poet has to develop, has to conclude, has to introduce the idea within 14 lines. A sonnet is a poem of 14 lines with fixed rhyming scheme. Miltonic sonnets are different from Shakespearean sonnets. In Shakespearean sonnet, there are 3 quatrains and a couplet, while in Miltonic sonnet, there are 2 parts, octave and sestet. The first 8 lines are octave and the last 6 lines are sestet. In the octave part, the poet introduces the idea, develops the idea, and in the sestet, he concludes the idea. So far as the theme of Miltonic sonnet is concerned, it is also different from Shakespearean theme. The theme of Shakespearean sonnet is related to love, courtship, and friendship. Milton is the poet who took out sonnet from the theme of love. The theme of his sonnet is religious, social, political. Most of his sonnets are autobiographical sonnet. The poet describes about himself. He writes about his views, his attitude to God, to religion, to politics, and to social activities. The sonnet on his blindness is an autobiographical sonnet. The poet writes about himself. The poet Milton became blind before crossing half of his life, and through this sonnet, the poet wants to convey his message to God, that how can a blind man perform his duties properly. The poet is unhappy to know that it is very difficult for a blind man to compose poetry, to write poetry. Through this sonnet, the poet wants to convey the message that he is fully faithful and loyal to God, and he will fulfill his duties with his best. In spite of being blind, he will do poetic work in a proper way. The poet mentions that God has given him talent of composing poetry. First he asks question that how can he use and utilize the talent? But he himself answers that he will use and utilize the talent given to him by God in a proper way. The poet says in the sonnet that God doesn't require active work from everyone. One who bears the sorrows and sufferings, one who bears the mild yoke here means the sufferings that are given by God, one who bears the sorrows and sufferings in a mild way is equally his best servant. So the poet wants to say that he will serve the maker. Who is the maker here in the poem? God is the maker. He is determined to serve the maker. He is determined to write poetry, though he is blind. In this way, the poet expresses his feelings after being blind, but his deep faith in the mercy of God. According to the poet, God is the supreme authority, and whatever God is doing for the wishing of everyone. So the poet is saying in the sonnet that he will serve his maker, he will serve God, he will compose poetry, and he will try to perform his duties in the same way as the other people are performing. In the very beginning, the poet feels disappointed in the sonnet, feels unhappiness in the beginning, but in the sestet part, the poet overcomes all the sorrows and sufferings. The poet determines to overcome all the hurdles and difficulties that are likely to come in his life. And by overcoming the sorrows and sufferings, the difficulties and hurdles, the poet is determined to serve God. In this way, this sonnet is one of the best autobiographical sonnet of great poet Milton. So far as the rhyming scheme of Miltonic sonnet is concerned, it is also different from Shakespearean sonnet. The rhyming scheme of Miltonic sonnet is A B B A B B A C D E C D E. In this way, we can say that the sonnet is a unique creation of great poet Milton, who is one of the most popular English poets.